Most people think all Vancouver suburbs are growing the same in 2026, and the truth is, they're not. The next wave is hitting a few pockets in and around the area. And if you actually look at what's being built, what's being approved and expanded, a pretty clear pattern shows up every single time. So in this video, I'm going to be breaking out a few different things. Number one, which suburbs are showing real growth signals and not just the hype that you see in the newspaper. Secondly, what each one actually feels like living in on the day-to-day. And lastly, where buyers are moving right now, plus how to get in early without picking the wrong area. I work with buyers and sellers all across Southwest Washington, so my job is to show you what's actually changing and which areas you're going to love living in versus potentially regretting later. So let's jump into the 5 Vancouver area suburbs with the most momentum heading into 2026, starting with the fastest moving growth corridor. Now, you've probably heard of the town Ridgefield. It's a booming community. Now, Ridgefield's growth isn't just random. It's all stacking along the I-5 and the 179th corridor. You've got new construction, you have major road improvements, and you have big retail like Costco all hitting at once. And that combination, I believe, is what is kind of accelerating everything into a growing community. And when infrastructure and rooftops move together like this, it usually means that the area matures faster than what people tend to expect. So what does Ridgefield feel like when you're driving through? Me personally, it feels like you're in the middle of a ton of growth. You see new phases going up constantly. There's a lot of road work. There's a ton of new construction and commercial buildings that are going up, and more businesses are opening up over time. I feel like every single week I drive through Ridgefield, I go, oh, there's a new company. Oh, there's a new business that just moved in. And my wife and I personally, we love Ridgefield because it feels like the errands, they get easier every single year. Like obviously we have the Costco there, there's new restaurants opening up, and there's just a lot more like things like UPS. And there's a local gym now, things that we didn't have prior. And my wife is filming me right now, and she wanted to mention that Brewed Awakenings, local coffee company, is one of her favorite coffee shops to go to. Now you might be wondering, who is Ridgefield for? In my opinion, it's for buyers who want newer homes and the modern layouts. Typically in Ridgefield, unless you go downtown or maybe you see some parcels that are on acreage, you're not going to find a lot of older houses. And personally, when a client reaches out to me and they're interested in Ridgefield, it's usually for this reason specifically, is they really believe in all the growth and they think that they're putting money into a good investment because they believe that Ridgefield is going to continue to get more popular, which it has shown that it is getting more popular. There's so many more people that are interested in Ridgefield. And a big thing that I noticed from people relocating here is Ridgefield is good for people who want space, but they still need that I-5 access. I've said in my other videos before, in Ridgefield, the furthest you can get away from I-5 is roughly like 8 to 9 minutes, and that's a stretch, which is very convenient, especially if you have to work in Vancouver, or maybe you have to fly out and you got to go to PDX once a week, or maybe you have to work in Portland. It's nice being close to that I-5 corridor. And traffic-wise, we rarely see it going up to Ridgefield. And some extra things I wanted to mention about Ridgefield is there are a lot of master plan communities. You have new construction with the trails and the parks, and they're kind of seemingly all flowing together. And I will say that in Ridgefield, there's a lot of strong appeal for people that are moving from out of state, because Ridgefield just seems easy. It seems like the Scottsdale, so to say, 10 years ago. It seems like the Boise, Idaho 10 years ago, before everything really kaboomed. But with that being said, there are some trade-offs in Ridgefield. Obviously, with all the boom, there is construction, there's noise, and some believe there's constant change going on. And mostly you hear this from the locals who have been there for the last 50 years, who don't like a lot of change. Another trade-off too is because it is booming, some of the areas are under construction and they don't quite feel finished yet. It's not a finished product. And maybe you're in a position where you know exactly where you want to live, and maybe you're not. Maybe you're just kind of looking around Southwest Washington. Well, you're in luck. I made an awesome relocation guide. My wife and I, we worked really hard on this thing. And something I wanted to mention about Ridgefield in particular is the school district. Listen, I get it. I have a daughter. I'm a family guy. I really care about the schools around the area, and you probably do too. And if you're interested in downloading that relocation guide, it's actually for free, and you can download that below. Now, Ridgefield, it's all about growth volume and expansion, but the next one is almost the opposite. Limited space and very strong demand. And the next suburb we're going to talk about is the very popular Camas, Washington. And Camas has been in high demand for years, and that really hasn't changed. But what's changing is where that future growth in Camas is actually going to go. There's areas like North Shore that are basically the next chapter is what people are saying of Camas, and buyers are already paying serious attention to that. When you have a city with strong schools, a solid reputation, and limited land, that demand tends to stay very tight. So what does Camas feel like on the day-to-day? Well, to be honest with you, it's a more established, more polished, and really, in my opinion, more consistent area than other areas in Southwest Washington. It doesn't feel like a boom town. It feels like a place that people compete to get into, and we constantly see that. Now, who is Camas for? In my opinion, it's perfect for move-up buyers. It's perfect for families focused on schools and stability. The Camas School District has an amazing reputation, one of the best school districts around Washington in general. It's for buyers thinking long-term and not just short-term deals. Now in Camas, the resale homes here tend to hold their value very well, but the listings can still move quickly compared to other areas. And a lot of buyers compare this to the higher end suburbs in other states. But I do want to be honest, there are trade-offs. One big trade-off I noticed in Camas is you're definitely paying for the area and not just the house. And typically you get less bang for your buck in the size of the house and the quality of house just to be in Camas, just to be in the school district. And to be honest, in Camas, there's some future areas that are still years out from being fully built. Now, I make a lot of videos on Camas simply because it's a very popular spot here, especially for people that are moving up from maybe California or especially Portland, Oregon. Now, I saw a lot of homes in Southwest Washington, but specifically Camas. And a lot of those people that I sell to are moving here kind of on a leap of faith, and they put a lot of trust in me. Hey, I want to live in the best area. And although I do have multiple recommendations, I think there's a lot of great areas to live in Southwest Washington. A lot of those people do end up searching and buying in Camas. After someone closes on their home, I like to follow up with them, a couple months after, maybe a year after they purchased. And I always ask the same thing. Hey, do you regret anything? How's the move going? And consistently with people that are moving to Camas, there is no regret that I've seen of people being in Camas, and no regret on moving into Camas in that area specifically. Now, they might regret things like the countertops with the house they bought, but consistently, I have not seen any regret about moving to Camas, Washington, because there are so many good things going for it. And Camas holds value because of the demand, but the next area is changing because its identity is essentially shifting. And the next suburb we're going to talk about is Washougal. Now, for reference, if you're in Vancouver, you're on Highway 14 and you're heading east, you would pass Camas, Washougal, and then make your way out to the Columbia River Gorge. Now, Washougal is in a different phase, and it's not just growing. In my opinion, it's changing how people view Washougal as a whole. And the waterfront redevelopment in Washougal is a very big part of that. Projects like the Highest Point are turning into more of a destination over time. And that kind of shift can bring in new restaurants, more activity, and more buyer attention, which is obviously going to help resale demand. So what does Washougal feel like on the day-to-day? In my opinion, it's a little bit more laid back, it's less dense, and it's really close to nature, especially with the river and the Columbia River Gorge right next door. But you can definitely feel certain pockets in Washougal starting to evolve, especially near the waterfront. Now, you might ask the question, who is Washougal for? And I think Washougal is great for buyers who want maybe some more breathing room, some more options for acreage properties if you do want to live on acreage, and someone who's looking for more of that quiet, small town type of feel. And some extra things about Washougal I wanted to mention is I believe there's strong appeal for people relocating from the busier metro areas. Someone, like I said before, looking for this quiet, the small town type of feel. And Washougal has a mix of older character homes, but also some really newer and luxury type builds. And I think the potential upside tied to how the waterfront develops over time is what a lot of people are looking at and what a lot of people are essentially betting on. But some of the trade-offs of Washougal, the growth, I believe, is slower and it's a little bit more phased. And in my opinion, not every single neighborhood is going to benefit equally with all that development going on. And depending on where you're at in Washougal, that commute time could be very different. Obviously, Washougal does sit on Highway 14, so if you are close to the city limits, it could be good. But Washougal, if you look on a map, it can go stretch way out through the Gifford Pinchot, and there are properties out in Washougal that are seriously 30 to 45 minutes away just from the highway. But in my opinion, if you really liked kind of the Camas area, you should definitely check out Washougal because it is a little bit more affordable and you can still drive into Camas every day if you wanted to. And Washougal has a bright future ahead. I really believe that. Now, Washougal is more of a lifestyle type of play, but the next area is where buyers go for space and for value. And that place is Battleground, my hometown. Battleground tends to pick up demand when buyers get priced out of the closer in areas. Now, if you look on a map of Southwest Washington, you can see Battleground is very northeast Clark County. And much like Washougal, Battleground can really stretch pretty far out. And that is actually the area that I kind of grew up in, close to Battleground Lake State Park. Now in Battleground, you get more house, you get more yard, and often newer construction, which is a big draw for people. And typically around other areas, it's a little bit more affordable price per square foot. And right now, the planning side of things is very important in Battleground. The city is actively shaping where the future growth is and where the commercial areas are gonna go. Now Battleground, it's more spread out, it's definitely quieter, and depending on the area, it can feel suburban or almost rural. But in town in Battleground, I like to call it a self-sustaining town because you are off the beaten path a little bit. If you look on a map, if you're going off of I-5 and you take the Battleground exit, it's roughly a 10 to 12 minute commute just to get into Battleground. And I will say the daily life here is a little bit slower, and it's a little bit more routine based. And Battleground is still relatively a small town. I think it's perfect for buyers who want space and potentially newer homes. I think perfect for families who don't really mind driving more, or if you're a remote worker or a hybrid worker, Battleground is great. And especially if you are interested in owning property, depending on your budget, obviously. But Battleground has a lot of acreage properties. If you're looking for an acre, 2 acres, 10 acres, you can probably find it in Battleground. Now in the town of Battleground, there's definitely some areas that are kind of shaping up. There's a lot of subdivision growth, and it's really popular for move-up buyers. There's a lot more flexibility in budget, especially to a place compared to Ridgefield or a place like Camas. But the trade-offs, there are definitely trade-offs here in Battleground. Now the commute can definitely be a killer in Battleground, and the growth could definitely change the traffic and the patterns over time. A lot of people that I know, locals that I know, say Battleground is nothing what it used to be. But something to keep in mind too, like with all that growth, there are a lot of people moving here. Things like just commuting through Main Street during rush hour, it definitely can get clogged up. A lot of locals are not happy with how much traffic there is just trying to get through the main route in Battleground. And like I mentioned, I am from Battleground. I actually grew up here. I lived in different areas of Southwest Washington. If you are looking for a local who knows the area like the back of their hand, you're welcome to reach out to me. I'm happy to answer any questions for you. Or maybe you're kind of in that early steps. Like I mentioned before, we have that awesome relocation guide that is chock full of information from the towns to live in, the places that you want to see, things to do, and everything from school districts to the real estate market. It's all in that relocation guide, and you're welcome to download that for free below. Now, Battleground is a place that gives you more space, but this last area that I'm going to talk about, it wins because it makes daily life a lot easier and more convenient. And this last area we're going to talk about is known as Salmon Creek. Now, Salmon Creek stays in demand because it's simple yet efficient. You're close to I-5, you're close to medical centers, you're close to shopping and a lot of different services. And that matters more than most people realize until they don't have it. So what does Salmon Creek feel like on the day-to-day? I think it's more of an established neighborhood, it's practical, and it's an easy area to live in simply because of the convenience. Now, Salmon Creek offers a wide variety of real estate for you. We have starter homes in Salmon Creek. We have the first-time move-up type of homes for Salmon Creek, a lot of homes for bigger families, and we see a lot of those luxury-style homes in Salmon Creek actually surrounding the WSUV. What WSUV is Washington State University, Vancouver. And WSUV is very convenient, especially if you're trying to get that higher education. Now, Salmon Creek, I believe, is perfect for people who commute, really good for families who want the predictable type of routines, and really good for buyers who don't want to wait for an area to develop because Salmon Creek is mostly developed for the most part. Salmon Creek has a very strong resale demand simply because of the convenience. And I think Salmon Creek is a really good in-between type of location for Vancouver and Portland type of access that you're looking for. Now let's talk about the trade-offs. In Salmon Creek, there is a higher price per square foot, and it's not as new or modern in some areas. I don't typically see a lot of traffic in Salmon Creek, but I don't want to say it's non-existent. There's definitely traffic that occasionally happens, a little bit of traffic jams, little pileups that might happen on the monthly basis. Now, most people assume that all these suburbs in Southwest Washington are growing the same, and that's where they get it wrong. And each one has a different lane. When we think of a place like Ridgefield, I personally think of growth and expansion. Place like Camas, we think of demand and constant stability. Now Washougal, growing like crazy, lifestyle and overall big transformation that we're seeing. Over in Battleground, I think of space and also value and affordability. And in Salmon Creek, we think of convenience and access. Now, the biggest mistake I see, people shop for the house first and then they pick the area second. And if you're gonna do that, you're doing it wrong. And in my opinion, that's how you end up loving the home, but you end up hating your routine, your commute, or your day-to-day life.
And this is what I help people figure out every single day, matching the right area to your lifestyle before you ever fall in love with the house. So if you're buying, selling, relocating, or maybe potentially building around Southwest Washington, Vancouver, you're welcome to reach out. I'll help you break these areas down based on your commute, your budget, your lifestyle, and what you're looking for, and what's actually changing in 2026 so you can get in early without guessing. And now we're gonna hear Boone's favorite area.
Okay, what do you say?